Hey folks, Pete here with the River Kings. I got a quick video today about lip dynamics, and you may not have heard this term, partly because I may have made it up, I'm not sure. But it's really just talking about what you do at the lip of drops, the lip of slides. It's all about what you're doing as a kayaker as you come over the lip. And for today's video, I brought out my custom River Kings foamy boater made by Sam Wilburn, so thanks Sam. But really, we're talking about as you're coming up to a point where you're going to be traveling down the back side of something, that point right there is called the lip. So as you're traveling through the water in normal water and you place a stroke on either side of your boat, it will introduce a little spin momentum, but not terribly, and it's easy to manage. As you come up to the lip and you start to pivot from getting on that rock or on that hump of water and you're about to go down the back side, there's a moment there where anything you do will really spin the boat because the bow and the stern are released from the water. There's no resistance. And in low water, especially, you may be on a rock that makes a perfect pivot point. And we'll do tricks like rock spins and 360s on purpose. But a lot of boaters mess themselves up on accident. And so we're going to talk about that today, lip dynamics. A couple quick principles at play before we get into the video portion. Gravity is undefeated and is always present. But basically, all the speed you need to get to the bottom of vertical kayaking is already there. It's built in. So when you're creeking on a feature such as 10-foot falls on Wilson Creek, just a nice little slide, the power, the speed, the energy to get to the bottom of that already exists. So you don't need to dump a bunch of speed in at the lip. It will gain speed through the course of that feature. And so a lot of people, I think one of the things they want to do when they get to a lip is to get a bunch of speed going. Well, you're about to go down fast. So the speed's going to be built in. The speed's already there. All you need to do is have your boat in the right place. Over the years, I've actually developed a philosophy on kayaking. And this is really, I articulated in a video a while back up here if you want to watch that. The ultimate goal of a whitewater boater is to achieve and maintain proper boat placement. Boat placement is the goal. It's not staying upright. It's not, all the other things that we could be doing, perfect strokes, this, that, and the other. You're really achieving boat placement. When the boat placement is not right, then you're in some sort of recovery. You may still be in control, but just realize, hey, I need to be over there a couple feet. That's recovering to proper boat placement, whether it's for the line or for the drop or just you want to be in an eddy. Boat placement, you're delivering your boat to a specific place on the river. And when you get into the fluid nature of rapids, the line itself becomes a place. Like you want to start here, be here, and end up over there. Your boat placement throughout needs to be maintained. First of all, you need to achieve it, and then you need to maintain it. And so that's the goal of boating. All the strokes, all the cool things, all the techniques, all your speed, your everything is trying to achieve and maintain boat placement. So that's really important in lip dynamics, maybe more so than a lot of other places in kayaking. And if you come up to the lip and you're in the right place, it's going to take care of you from there. Great example of this is Oceana on Tallulah. All the work you've done for that is achieved in the first 15 to 20 feet of this giant slide. And then from there, you're doing some things to keep and maintain boat attitude and boat angle and all this other thing. But if you start that slide in the right place, you're going to be in the right place at the bottom. If you start to slide in the wrong place, you're going to be in the wrong place in the bottom. And there's really nothing you can do to change that once you begin the journey down Oceana. Now, there are a lot of other skills that can make your experience on Oceana better or worse, depending on what's happening to you. But the work is done when you place your boat on the lip and you start coming down. That's the pivotal moment. So in today's video, I'm really not going to go into the weeds on boofing techniques or this, that, and the other. It's going to be conceptual on basically, here's some things that you don't want to do. The number one thing you don't want to do at the lip of any feature is spin accidentally. And that's very, very easy to do, especially for someone who's starting to creek for the first time or coming up to features for the first time. Now in today's video, we're on a really low water Wilson, and a couple of the guys hadn't seen the river yet since the hurricane, so we went out there to get them their first look. And it's always very, very technical when it's low water. There's a lot of value to be gained out of that, even though it's not your awesome, classic, fluffy, perfect run that you always dream about. Really technical rocky water exposes another side of paddling. Really heavy flow, that's a whole nother side of paddling. So to be a complete paddler, you kind of need to know all the different techniques. And so yeah, there's a lot to be gained out of a low water run, even if it's just scratching your boat up a little bit and realizing, hey, there's some things I need to work on when I'm doing rock interaction, when I'm coming over lips. So without any further ado, let's get right to it.
Yeah! Oh, Stan!
In this clip, Stan is just coming out of entrance to 10 foot and approaching the falls proper. He's actually in a great position and where he needs to be, but it always looks like you should be a little further left. And he tries to get back over left by placing some right strokes. But instead of getting back to the left, those large strokes in the shallow water turn into sweep strokes and just basically spin his boat to the left. And this next stroke right here seals the deal, which guarantees he will go down the slide sideways, and at big water, entering that hole sideways will be an adventure of its own. And as we all know, the number one rule of whitewater kayaking is never enter a hole sideways. So as you come down the bottom of the slide, be sure you're pointing straight. The next example here is Boat Buster, and it's a little tricky at low flow because there's a narrow slot you have to get into to get to the boof. Right beside the big rock and right to the right of that small rock. And then you want to land straight facing downstream, but it's kind of good to take a boof stroke there. The trick is not to spin your boat when you boof. Now this one's a little tricky because you need a little speed to get into that slot there, but the guys were slowing down for precision, placing them a little slower than the pace of the water, and the water was pushing their stern out to the left, and without the speed they would dry out on that ledge and the boof stroke would spin them off the ledge, landing them again sideways. So this one's a little different. You had to have a little speed just to get to the spot correctly, but if you don't have it, you can see where they get messed up. In this next one, Stan puts a left stroke right on the lip, which spins his bow to the right, and you can hear him piton that ledge down there. So instead, just come up to the ledge with a little left boat angle and ride it out. Bedrock is nothing fancy, just about a 4-foot rock ledge. And this creates a nasty retaining hole at higher water. So this is one you want to get right when the water's up. And Steve does a pretty good job, but as Stan comes up, he places one stroke on the left too much and spins his boat right. And then as Alan comes up, he puts a big stroke on the right, spinning his boat left. And it doesn't look terrible, but at high water, that's enough. You're stuck in the hole, you're getting chundered, and you're having a bad day. And a good example here of having to put a stroke halfway down is Maytag. You want to catch a stroke about halfway down and you want to exit to the right. But you don't want to spin out too quickly like Steve did here, or you might be stuck in that hole, especially at high water. And that one's got a nasty undercut there on the left. Stan comes down here and does another spin out too close to the hole. You definitely want to be able to arc away from that a little straighter, even though you're exiting to the right.
Perfect.
Alan did a good job. These next two clips are just examples of trying to be smooth and purposeful and get your boat to achieve what you want to achieve while not making overcorrections or messing yourself up. This little rapid we call sunshine practice down here in the run out, and is a good example of needing to do the right thing in the right place. And in this case, we're trying to achieve a fader boof over on the left side of the rapid, and that requires a right stroke with the left side of your boat kind of on the rock. There's a couple weird knuckles down in that ledge that will buck your boat to the right or the left, so you really need to hit this one right. And as Alan approaches, he doesn't get over on the left side and just kind of falls off the rapid. And he's leaning slightly upstream off that knuckle and just kind of lands sideways in a brace. If that was a big water move, it would have just ate his lunch. Now Stan is in the right place. His approach was good, his speed was good, but he chooses a left stroke off the boof instead of a right stroke, which just ruined everything. As his hull marries up to that rock, that left stroke pushes his left edge up, his right edge down into current, and it dumps him on his ear. A right stroke there and Stan would have had the perfect line. In this next clip, I'm running this left line for the first time ever. It's a new line since the flood. I just kind of figuring this out, kind of underestimated the push to the left, got hung up on the rock. It's just an example of staying cool and calm up there on the lips of things and working it out without any overcorrections or craziness. Your lines aren't always going to go right, and when it does go wrong and you're on the lip, don't make it worse for yourself. And since we're using all the worst clips that we're having from the day as examples, I figured I'd post a couple where the guys did it just right. So here's Steve and Stan coming over the ledges. But now we're back to lap 2 and Stan repeats his mistake on 10-foot falls. And this can be really frustrating for a paddler. Don't give up. We saw a lot of improvement and it'll just start clicking, but expect some mistakes when you're trying new things.
Right at the very top, you.
Wild sweep.
Yep.
Do something now. Oh, that one. You're just powering it like.
So this next rapid is just a manky, jumbly mess, but we're trying to fader boof with the left stroke off that middle rock there to be set up to follow this flow through the rocks without being caught up in that jumble. Steve does a pretty good job, but just falls off a little to the left. All in all, pretty good. But Stan gets up on the rock. He was pulling a left stroke right there, and he switches to a right stroke and spins his boat the wrong way. And this is a principle at play anytime you're doing a flare boof, a smear boof, a fader boof, or a boof off any one particular side of a ledge or a rock instead of a lip that's uniform. The angle of the rock, if it's on one side of the boat, is going to kick your boat opposite way of the rock. So if the rock's on your right, it's going to kick your boat to the left, and vice versa. In this clip, Stan is going over Piton Ledge, and the boil of water down there below represents a big rock, and you will piton. And so you're basically trying to stay on the left side here with left boat angle. Now ideally, Stan would want to be 1.5 feet further to his right to start. But one lesson Woody Calloway gave me once, a long time ago, was that you don't paddle for where you want to be, you paddle for where you are. And Stan finds himself here about to impact that rock on the left side of his boat, And the solution for his line where he's at now is to put a big right stroke in to counter the deflection that's going to occur when the left side of his boat hits that rock. And this is where it gets a little more complicated for a paddler starting to do this. Consider that deflection on the left side of his boat from the rock like a giant left stroke. It's going to kick his bow to the right, so he needs to counter that with a giant right stroke to kick his bow back to the left, and he should come off that straight. It's just about physics. You're counteracting the forces that are acting on your boat, whether it's water or rock. Now, Stan's a great paddler and a very intelligent human being, but kayaking doesn't always come naturally. A lot of what we do in kayaking is counterintuitive, counter-instinctual, and it's just something you have to learn. Why Stan paddled a left stroke here and kicked himself back into the piton, I can only guess that that rock looked like something to get a little purchase on and maybe get a little speed over, and it was absolutely the wrong thing to do. We laugh about these things later, whether it's me or Stan or Steve or anybody we're paddling with. We all make these silly mistakes from time to time. No knock on Stan. It's just a perfect example of what not to do. And since I'm using all the footage of my friends messing up, it's only fair to use one of my own. So this is from West Fork Tuck. There you see me putting some ridiculous right stroke there, kicking my bow to the left and putting me in a side surf on a diagonal ledge that surfs you downriver left, and in this case, right into a tree that backs up the hole. And I'm doing some things to think about how to get out of it. But basically, I'm going into that tree, so I have to come up with a new plan. That plan is to spot that little gap with no branches and put my kayak in that gap and hope for the best, try to get under it without interacting with the rest of the tree. All this because I put a right stroke instead of a left stroke up at the top, and here I am trying to shoot for that gap and wondering why I'm such a bad kayaker. This will happen to you from time to time. When you get in these situations, you just have to form a new plan and paddle for where you are, not for where you wanted to be. And I was heading into a tree, so not ideal. Once again here, as I'm coming into the bottom here, you see Tony puts a left stroke at the top and in the hole. I'm in the right place. I should have put a left stroke right here, but a right stroke puts me bow left into a side surf. And there it is. Don't mess yourself up at the lip. And this is why we practice this on low water, because as you mess up these low water lips and ledges and holes, there's really not a lot of consequence. But as you can see, it doesn't take much of an improper boat angle in bigger water to really make you pay. Back to Wilson, we are coming up on lap 2 on Boat Buster, and I've explained to the guys, got to have a little speed to get into that notch, and then a right stroke, and that'll keep you going over just the way you want to. Here's me coming through, landing flat, pointing right where I wanted to go, and in control. Next up is Steve. And Steve did a great job. Had a little rotation to the left, but totally in control. Stan, on the other hand, a little heavy on the right boof stroke and comes off that ledge spinning to the left. Again, he pulls it out, but we're just dialing the nuance on how to boof without doing a sweep stroke, and that's just going to take a lot of practice. Unfortunately, he angled right again through Thunderhole and pitoned that wall, so a little left boat angle at the lip, and that sets you up to glide right on through.
Finally!
So this next clip shows super low water triple drop. It's just a manky mess, but it highlights the point that sometimes you need to take a minute at the lip and get set up. It's a delicate moment. Make sure it's right. I need to go left at the bottom of this, so I take a minute to get set, and a good right stroke puts me right there in that little tiny channel, which is what's going to keep me from drying out on all these ridiculous rocks. And so that's the idea with lip dynamics. There's just a smorgasbord of different scenarios requiring different input. Some of it is very little, some of it is very aggressive, but it all depends on what is needed to keep your boat placement where it needs to be on the lip of anything. So we'll let you watch a few of these clips here where we're working through some of these things, and some of them are good, some of them aren't, but it's all about practice. We had a great day and everyone improved, and we all had a ton of fun.
Yeah. You gotta boof it. You gotta boof it. Oh yeah. A little too spinny outy. Try to hold your arc to get out, get away from the hole. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Perfect. Much better, huh? Uh-oh. That was looking good.
Keep your momentum off the top and actually stay where that top.
Yeah. So I messed the second part up of that. Yeah. The first time I did it perfect. That looked good. And then he needs to lean to his right here. Oh, not bad. Oh dear. Oh no. What's happening? Oh, yeah. Oh, that was close. Woo!
And so once you start getting a handle on your lip dynamics, on keeping your boat attitude and angles right, it's time to start working on your boof and taking that to a higher water, a higher flow, bigger drops, and really start dialing in that magic moment when you come over the lip of something big. And I'll leave you with a portion of one of my favorite videos from one of my favorite days, a day on the Tellico River with my son and Ken Whiting. We had Matt Wilder and Austin Wallace behind the cameras, and this is where all your practice comes to play when you find yourself out there on a river like the Ledges and you can do these things. Kayaking becomes a pure joy. I'm Pete with the River Kings. Enjoy the video. I hope it helps. Thanks for watching.
While the river calls to everyone, few seem to hear it, and fewer still will answer. And those that do are forever changed.